But then you also overnight have this post claiming that protests at Tesla dealerships are illegal. He said today he would label violence.
The protests are illegal. Oh my God. Oh my God, bro. Oh, wow. It's so dishonest. It is crazy. And this is the problem, is that like the people that do this live in so many layers of dishonesty that it's like it's almost impenetrable. Another round of mostly peaceful protests. Yeah, I guess so, right?
Against dealerships, domestic terrorism. Now, you know I am judicious in how I play this sound, but I think you need to hear it from him.
Mr. President talks about some of the violence that's been going on around the country at dealerships. Some say they should be labeled domestic terrorists.
I will do that. I'll do it. I'm going to stop them. We catch anybody doing it because they're harming a great American company. Let me tell you, you do it to Tesla and you do it to any company, we're going to catch you and you're going to go through hell.
So just to be clear, you protest a private company, you are labeled by this administration a domestic terrorist. But then you
look at the first sentence. Some of the violence. The word is violence. It's not about the protests. Even the reporter is drawing the distinction. I think this woman would have a point if Trump was saying just the protesters, but he's not talking about just the protesters, and neither is the reporter asking the question. Let's listen to this again. And look at her. How do you really? You're like, oh, oh my God, bro. This is so smug. This is how idiots get brainwashed. I know.
Mr. President talks about some of the violence that's been going on around the country at dealerships.
The violence. So are we saying that violence is protesting? I don't think that's the way it works. I'm pretty sure it's not.
Some say they should be labeled domestic terrorists.
I will do that. I'll do it. I'm going to stop them.
You're reaching? Am I really? Like, let me ask you, what am I reaching for? I mean, I'm very confused by this. Why do you reach so hard? What am I reaching for? Reaching for logic and clarity? No, I'm asking, like, this is a genuine question. What am I reaching for? What is it? What the reporter said? Okay. So let's listen to what she said.
So just to be clear, you protest a private company, you are labeled by this administration a domestic terrorist. But then
Do you think that is an accurate assumption and an accurate summary of what Trump said? And what the question asked was? Do you think that she's just saying what all the news outlets are saying? You're so close. That's the problem. That's the problem. That's my whole point. Yes, exactly. Yes, there it is. I think you're right. So let me ask you, like, and I'm not asking you, there's violence on both sides. Okay, that's not what we're talking about. Is it? Like, this is so stupid. It's so stupid. What is this? Well, what about there is this one thing that happened this a while ago, and this is goalpost. Yeah, get out of here. This is crazy. Oh, here's another one. Yeah, look at this.
It's looking like I might have to take one for the team, y'all. Mm-hmm. Everybody's been asking who's going to do it. Honestly, truly, I ain't got nothing else to lose.
Man.
So what's up? Yeah, no. It wasn't me. I promise. I'm still here. See, the problem with that person didn't have the right plan. Okay?
I like how this guy thinks he's going to outsmart all the Secret Service. You're like working at a gas station or something like that. And like you've got this fucking master plan about how you're going to get the president. It's like, okay, well, yeah, exactly. Like, what is this hero complex? I know. I think people like this should just, in my opinion, I think a person making threats against a an elected public official like this, I think they should go to jail. I do. And I don't think that there's any place for a person like this in a civilized society. I don't. And it's very weird that anybody would even run defense for it at all. And I don't understand it in any capacity at all. I think it's very, very, very problematic. Domestic terrorism definition, a person who commits terrorist acts in their own country against their fellow citizens, that is what's happening to Tesla. Bro, you don't understand. It's not terrorism because I agree with it. It's a protest. Yeah, you're not listening. See, yeah. What are you doing? So what is this here? So are you're not reading a dictionary, are you? You put that down. You don't want the dictionary lying to you?
Way back when, 2016, they saw that if they could just be contrarian to whatever Trump was doing, that got a lot of attention from Democratic voters. And Trump seems like a different Trump now. His cabinet.
The reason why it's different is that the public sentiment has changed and it's massively shifted. Like, look at the amount of people that supported mass deportations in 2016 versus now. It's a completely different landscape. And I think that one of the big reasons for that is because people are able to express opinions. The reason why people didn't have those opinions initially is because they were going to get banned and deplatformed for them. But now that that's not going to happen, well, it's not an issue.
It is a different kind of cabinet. I mean, things are moving forward. Things like Doge, looking at the finances of America has been something we've long wanted. And now the Democrats seem to still be doing this contrarian position. And really, I think they should just get back to what is their purpose to begin with? Their purpose is to serve the American public. And so they should do that job and try and work with the current.
I think this is definitely true. And I think this is a problem that a lot of Republicans had during Obama, is that almost all of their messaging was just Obama bad. Like there was nothing like really to like follow or to get excited for. It was just something else. Right? Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, Obama. Yeah. I mean, Obama was awful. That's fine, but like you can't run an entire campaign on just disliking one person and hoping that more people dislike them than people that like them. It's a very shaky foundation to have. Biden did. I don't even really think that's entirely true, but to an extent, sure. Stupid worked. I don't know. Biden equals stupid worked. I don't think that's it.
President and try and get things done. Yeah. And then in doing that, they can see what's missing and what their party can offer instead. You know what I mean? This is what politics used to be like, is from my perspective.
You're saying that Trump changed and the Democrats didn't. And what they need to do is go back to being public servants. But that requires listening, Justine. I don't even know if they know what the public wants. Do they have?
They don't. That's the problem. Is that like, and also they represent issues that average people don't care about. That's the big issue.
To go to like a little listening tour?
Yeah.
I would suggest a listening tour.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, a part of that listening tour is looking at the polls and looking how people voted. You can't just decide you're going to do the opposite. Because when one side is doing something reasonable, then your opposite is just being insane.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that, this is the issue that a lot of things have in the U.S. Like, if you guys are from Europe, you might not understand this. Oh, and this actually brings me to a point. I read this post earlier today, and I would respond, because I figured I'd respond to this because maybe the post got deleted. But there are people that thought that I was, like, anti-Europe. Just so you guys know, like, all of the European memes are just jokes. I like Europe. I think Europe's great. I think you guys have, in some countries, like, stupid speech laws, like, for sure. But I don't hate Europe. Yeah, if I'm saying, like, the fuck the EU thing, yeah, it's a joke, right? It's a meme. You might not like the joke, right, or whatever. That's fine. But, like, I'm not trying to be serious. It wasn't clear, to be honest. That's why, of course it wasn't clear. That's why people are upset. That's why I was explaining it. Yes, of course. Why would I hate the EU? Americans hating the EU. Where do you think the fucking Americans came from? Anyway, so yeah, back to this. Yeah, I think that basically having an oppositional perspective to everything makes you, in some cases, look extreme or irrational. And I think this is one of the reasons why I think Bernie was so popular, is because Bernie had a platform that was actually policy driven and it had a North Star. Like, the platform is like, okay, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do this other thing. And it's like, even Trump, right? Trump had a North Star where it's like, we're going to do mass deportations, we're going to audit the government, and we're going to close the border, right? We're going to stop fentanyl. Like, so there are actually like tangible things that you're doing rather than just simply, well, this is something that like, oh, well, we're just simply against the current thing. Another Bernie take? Yeah, I think it's true. His policy was not that deep. This isn't an advocacy of whether the policy was right or not. I'm just simply explaining that you have to give something. It is not enough to give people something to root against. You have to give people something to root for. And that's how you really inspire people to like win an election or to do anything.
See how that's, it's like we're watching the
That's
Super
my
Bowl
point.
and there's one team that's playing a game properly. Mm-hmm. And the other team has decided they're going to get up in the stands and like rend their garments and, I don't do crazy things. And it's like, no, just be a regular football team, come down on the field and do a proper service to the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm. That's what the Chiefs could have done against the Eagles, but alas, Justine, some things Trump said is sticking with me. He said that the Democrats are at risk of becoming a minor party. And this has happened before when the party just stops serving the interests of the American people. Do you believe that the party is really at risk of sidelining itself for a decade?
Well, I don't think a country with only one party.
Yes, by the way, the answer to that is absolutely yes. And the more extreme issues that they don't take stances against, like, for example, terrorism and, I think that's probably a pretty big one, like terrorism, like not taking a stance against terrorism. Yeah, that's kind of a bad one.
Is a great idea. I mean, I wish we had more than, in a very serious, equal level, in a level way, 3 or 4 parties. But, there are parties in the past that have just disappeared, like the Whigs. So It is certainly possible. And I think there's more and more former Democrats saying, this is just too crazy. I don't understand what they stand for. And really, most people, they're the extremes on the right, they're extremes on the left. And most of the population is right in the middle and just wants common sense, wants the holes filled in the road, wants, proper education for the kids.
Yeah, she's right about this. Most people don't care about radical issues, and radical issues alienate people on both sides.
Wants, law and order, and every state in the nation doged. These are reasonable things. And I think, whoever wants to run on that ticket has a very good chance of getting our attention.
Is that person Michelle Obama? Because the first thing you do after you drop a podcast is that you run for office. Or am I just crazy?
Well, now that you...
I think Michelle Obama would probably be a better candidate than Kamala Harris was. I'll be honest. I think so. I mean, pretty low bar, but still.
Brought that up. A lot of us in California would like to know who's paying for This Is Gavin Newsom. And you notice that Gavin Newsom's podcast isn't titled Let's Talk About California or The California Governor Talks to You. No, it's This Is Gavin Newsom, as if this is your life and it's all going to be about him. Anyway, I know we weren't talking about him, but this is the politicians in California are a good example. Like you have the Treehouse, for example.
He's positioning himself to probably run for president. And so if he compartmentalizes his influence to California, it makes him look bad. Gavin Newsom's a really smart guy. He is. He's a really smart guy. I disagree with him on a number of things, but I think he's very competent. He's very smart.
This is a good example of what people really don't want. And I think a lot of people in California are...
It's respectable.
...are in the habit of voting for people with a D next to their name. And I think I think these voters are more and more seeing that they need to vote for the candidate and someone with competency and someone who actually cares about you. And
this might be an unpopular opinion, but I think they should take away the ability to vote down ticket for like everybody in one ticket. Like, oh, I only vote for Republicans, or only vote for Democrats. I think they should take that option out. I think it's a lazy option. It's stupid.
I think that is going to be, the trend in politics. Fingers crossed.
I hope so. And if Gavin Newsom's watching, we know he likes Fox. Let's get that treehouse back up. Save the treehouse. Don't doge it, Gavin.
Save the treehouse. And,
I don't know what that is.
Take away this draconian limit on what people can charge for rentals.
Yeah, maybe less podcast, more governing. Thank you so much, Justine. Good luck out there.
Way
Yeah,
back.
I think that they have a big issue about basically taking up too many extreme policy positions and too many extreme points of view, and then ending up alienating everybody because average people just don't want to deal with that type of extremism and that type of behavior. I think it's a massive fucking issue. News hating podcasts again? Yeah, of course, because it puts them at risk, obviously, right? And that's the problem. We have intelligent, competent people in office, but they're captured by ideologies instead of morality and common sense. Well, the reason why they are is because those ideologies, there's also another component to this, is that those ideologies are really loud on social media. So you have people that don't really have like any sort of like internal like North Star. And so they're just making decisions and doing things based off of what they think sounds good. And I think that's a huge problem. What extreme policy position specifically? I was going to say, for example, not coming out, any Democrat that's not immediately coming out and saying that the attacks on Tesla, are just completely unjustified and they should be categorized as domestic terrorism and extremism. Anybody who's not coming out and saying that is wrong. And I think it's a huge problem that they're not saying it immediately.
And I guess that's why they don't really care about the climate. It was never about lowering the Earth's temperature, because if you really cared that much, you wouldn't burn an electric car, Senator. What about the terror financing angle to hit them with? I mean, if you're giving money to a group that ends up using it to foment violence against people, why can't you go after Soros if he's funding these attacks?
Oh, we absolutely should. We should absolutely follow the money, and it ought to be traced all the way back to its source. And this is why I say, Jesse, the left has gotten by with this for years. This is a great project.
I agree with that, by the way. The people that are supporting these protests that are consistently violent and they destroy property, I think we need to figure out who those people are and then hold them accountable for it. Absolutely.
For the Department of Justice. And
they're trying to create a civil war. This is a minority of people. It doesn't have to be a majority of people. I think 9 out of 10 people think this shit is retarded. And here's how I know that's true. Even the comments on Reddit say it's retarded. And if Reddit says this is bad, I don't know what to say.
Look at all of it. Who's funding these attacks? Who's funding the campus protests? Which, by the way, all of these campus protests, they're all organized, they're coordinated, they're funded. We ought to blow the lid off of that as well. Who was funding the protests in front of the justices' homes, which nearly led to justices being assassinated, Supreme Court justices I'm talking about. The left's been funding all of this stuff. They ought to be accountable for all of it. I love the fact that Kash Patel and Pam Bondi are all about transparency. Let's get some transparency on this dark money that is literally dangerous for the American people.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think they need to figure out who's paying these people, if they're being paid at all. I think that it's probably a mix. I think some of them are being paid and some of them are not being paid. And some of them basically just kind of go with the flow and go along with it. And the other ones are being paid in order to agitate it and start the movement, right? And I think that's what happens. I mean, I'm not sure about this, but I'm just guessing. Again, with the Soros conspiracy Andes, holy shit, the U.S. is cooked. You're right. And there's a good chance that George Soros isn't involved and it could be something else. But here's what I think makes a lot of sense. I think that if you think that it's a bad thing that this is happening and people are being paid to do it, then wouldn't you also welcome an investigation into whether it was good or not and who was funding it? So if you're certain that it's not somebody bad funding it, then why would the transparency be problematic? I don't know why. There are so many people nowadays. It's very unsettling, the amount of people that are supporters of just blatant terrorism. The destruction of property, this violent behavior. It's very problematic. And I can guarantee you that the outcome for this, the overall outcome for this is going to be very, very bad. So Josh Holley put his fist in the air to support January 6th and ran away when they entered the building. Well, I don't know. I have no idea about that. I mean, who the fuck knows? This America hating rhetoric under the First Amendment is getting old as fuck. Well, the thing is that, like, I mean, if you're a naturalized citizen, then you can hate America all you want, right? I mean, like, that's really it. I mean, that was my perspective with that guy that got that's going to get deported, or at least hopefully will get deported, right? Is that, like, we already have enough of these people in the country already. We don't need to import new terrorist sympathizers. We have so many of them already. And so that's what I think. How do you respond to someone who says not all Palestinians are Hamas? How would I respond to a person who says that not all Palestinians are Hamas? Well, it's simple. I'd agree with them. I think that's true. And I think that there are Palestinians that probably are favorable towards Hamas because they have to be. Because Hamas is a militant organization and it's a terrorist organization, and a lot of people are probably scared of telling them no or going against them. I totally agree. And that's why I apologize for what I said about Palestine, is because I do agree that there's a lot of good people that live there. And unfortunately, there's a terrorist group that is doing bad things there. And both of these things can be true. And I don't think that there's any sort of accusation or any sort of hate towards average Palestinian people justifying, their mistreatment by Israel or anything like that at all. I don't think there's any justification for it. Like, it's like if you're targeting civilians, then you're a terrorist organization, right? It's that simple. So yeah, nothing's black and white. No, it's not black and white. And I can see why also. The thing is that it's easy to see why somebody would support a group like Hamas. It is, especially if this is a person whose life has been destroyed, their house has been destroyed, and they view that it's by Israel. And maybe it is because of Israel. I'm not sure about every case. I don't know. But I'm saying, like, in a general sense, it doesn't matter really what my opinion is or what the facts are. It matters how they feel about it. And so, like, if you have somebody who has their whole life destroyed by what they believe to be this foreign power, well, then that person is probably going to be easily supportive of a group that's going to destroy that foreign power, even if that group is problematic. That's basically what happens, right? And so, like, I can understand why they do that. And a lot of them, like, and yes, it's the wrong opinion to have. You shouldn't do this. But there are a lot of things that people shouldn't do that are understandable that are done, right? It's understandable. And I think that really the difference is that, like, treating everybody there like they're a supporter of that. Let's say 90% of the people there support Hamas, like, theoretically, right? That means 1 in 10 people don't. That's an extremely high ratio. That is a crazy, crazy high ratio. So, and think about the hundreds of people that are there that would be, like, unfairly, like, hurt because of that. So, and that's even with a 90% approval, and that's a true approval rating, not a compelled approval rating, which I think in probably some cases happens. So, yeah, no, I think that it's a big problem. I think that the people that are supporters of Palestine actually do a massive disservice to Palestinians by trying to carry water and kind of, like, brush off and, like, oh yeah, it's not really that bad, whenever a terrorist group does something bad. I think it does so much damage to the average people that are there. By supporting them, yeah, I really do. I think it's a huge problem. That's a lie. Watch the street interview before October 7th. Well, I don't know about that. I mean, you have to explain, like, what that means. But please understand that if only 50% support Hamas, that makes a two-state solution extremely difficult. I understand that it's a very complex thing, and I'm going to be honest, I don't really have the answers for it. But the point that I'm making is that the one thing that I do have the answer for is that if you are on the side of people that are targeting innocent civilians and killing and raping them, you are the bad guy. You're the bad guy. And I think this goes with people's unequivocal support of the IDF as well. Yeah, but like especially Hamas. That's it. Israel's doing that? Yeah, it was a really big problem. I was surprised that more people didn't talk about that. Yeah, if you do bad things, then you're bad. Yeah, imagine that. So yeah. So both sides? Well, yeah, I think both sides have done bad things, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Of course. It's not even a question. Anybody would assume that. So anyway, the world's gray? Yeah, it is. And so no, Hamas is not Palestinians. Palestinians are not responsible for Hamas in the same way that I really think it sucks when like an American is held accountable for like the war crimes of America. And I think it's also really shitty when a Palestinian is held accountable for the war crimes or terrorism of Hamas. And I think it sucks when somebody from, like Saudi Arabia gets treated like, oh yeah, you're this terrible person because your government did this. Or somebody from Russia gets treated this way. There's a lot of average people. Most average people just want to live their lives without any sort of friction. They don't care about being terrorists. They don't want to kill a bunch of people. They don't care about a massive land conquest. They just want to live their life, care about their family, have a comfortable life, and that's it. That's what I'd say 95% of people want. Now, the 5% that don't, those are the ones that usually cause trouble. But the fact is that's my actual opinion about it. Yeah, that's my... I don't know if that's true for Palestine. I think it would be very quickly. I think that if you... the moment that the bombs stop dropping and the moment that people can just rebuild and live their life, I think their primary focus, many of them, is going to be rebuilding their own life. And it's, again, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You're not going to go and try to blow somebody else up if you don't even have a fucking house. Like, they're going to be busy. Like, really. It's human nature. Yeah, it's human nature. It's common sense. So, yeah, you can't control the whole country on only 5% support. Nazis did it on a pretty low percentage at the beginning, actually. But you're right, 5% is too low. But either way, my point is that I think that even if it's half of them that are supporting it, half of them aren't. And I think that it's unfair to characterize them as bad people because of that. And I feel the same way about Russia. I feel the same way about America. And I feel the same way about a place like Saudi Arabia. Whenever you... And this is it's a fundamental reality, is that when you take a statistic, and if you take a generalization about a group of people, and you take it down and you apply it to an individual person, that is the fundamental definition of dehumanization. So if you're dehumanizing people and saying that now you don't have your own free will, you don't have your own nuances, you don't have your own opinions, what matters is this general apparatus of assumptions, and they're all being applied to you, that's a bad thing. And this is true, by the way. This is true when people do it to black people. It's true when they do it to women. It's true when they do it to men. It's true when they do it to Muslims. It's true when they do it to atheists. It's true when they do it to anyone. It's all bad. So yeah, it's that simple. Is calling everyone terrorists dehumanizing? No, but I think calling people who kill innocent civilians as targets terrorists, I don't think that's dehumanizing at all. I think that's accurate. And also, humans can be terrorists. It's not that they aren't people. It's just that they're terrorists. There are people who are terrorists. Is that complicated? Yeah, I don't know. I feel like there's just been... Anyway, the point that I was making, right, is that the support of people like that guy, the Colombia guy that again, hopefully is getting deported, and the support of people that are like literal terrorists, I think that it does a tremendous amount of damage towards Palestinians, because what it does is it makes it synonymous in the mind of the average person that these two groups are one and the same. And I think that whenever you see a group of people that are advocating for this other group, that are seemingly running defense for literal terrorists, that's going to alienate a lot of people. And I think that's a horrible thing. And I think that the people that are running defense for Hamas, running defense for these other people that are advocating for, you know, like any sort of like ethnic cleansing or like murder or anything like that, these people are actively hurting the cause. And I think that you're starting to see this happen, where like you're seeing that people are tired of hearing that, you know, this terrorist person is actually a good guy. And I'm seeing this all over on the internet. And it's massively problematic. And I hope that the people that believe this, I mean, some of them are on Twitch, right? And I hope that the people that promote this stuff, I hope they listen to what I'm saying and they take it seriously. Because if you really want to help them, you have to stop making excuses for their worst bad actors. It's kind of like what I said about how it's bad for people to make excuses about January 6th. Because it's like, this is just like an obvious bad thing, and like, let's just agree this was bad so we can move on and not have to, like, there are some people that think that because something is on their side of the fence, that they have to defend it. No, you don't. You don't have to defend every single bad thing. And so that's the way I see it. And I find it to be disappointing because I do think that these, you know, Hamas and, you know, like these people that are like apologists for it, I think they're doing tremendous damage to the like good faith that people could have in the Palestinians. That's my opinion. I think they're doing terrible damage to it. And I think that you will begin to see this damage become more and more prevalent every single day. They don't even try. Mostly peaceful protest. Yeah, and I think that was the same thing. I think that the people that were making excuses for BLM burning down auto zones, I think that they also were doing a terrible disservice. I think that they set relations with police back, because now you have the right wing that just universally backs police no matter what, which is stupid. And then you also have all of these people that are radicalized against police, and now they won't comply with police, and now you have a higher degree of alertness that leads to more bad interactions with police officers. So I could go on about this for a long time, but I really think that I think that the people that are doing commentary about this really need to understand that radical viewpoints create equal and opposite radical viewpoints. And when you make excuses for bad behavior, people will also, you know, basically throw the baby out with the bathwater and think that you're bad. And I would look at, yeah, January 6th, October 7th. I don't know. Like, there's probably a few other examples that I could use. Don't throw out the bathwater, you sell it. Yeah, maybe, right? But that's the way I feel about it.